Need you to be honest with me.
We can't shoulder that pain alone.
Kristina and Alexis were planning to steal my son's child.
This is on you, Kristina. What are you doing here?
It's Lulu.
First off, Kristina was completely over the top during the funeral, trying to grab the spotlight as usual. She even called Iron by the wrong name in front of Molly, and her comment that Molly would never understand was particularly harsh. Kristina also attempted to meddle in the baby situation, despite having previously begged Molly and TJ to have the child for them. It's about time Kristina is held accountable, and I hope Molly keeps up the pressure. Alexis and Sam have coddled Kristina for too long, and it's time for her to face some tough truths. While Kristina might not have wanted the baby to die, her actions on that fateful day set everything in motion. And I'm glad Molly isn't sugarcoating things anymore. Unfortunately, Alexis might get caught in the crossfire, but it's her fault for not being neutral and for favoring Kristina throughout this mess. Alexis repeatedly told the girls that she wouldn't get involved because she loves both of her daughters. So whatever Kristina was planning, she was doing it on her own. Since Kristina lost the baby, Molly has only visited her once with any real compassion. Despite this, Kristina was present at the hospital while TJ and Molly made all the decisions about the burial and the baby's name. Kristina was just down the hall, but not once did it occur to them or the writers to update her on these important details. Now they're pushing a narrative that Kristina was going to steal the baby. Kristina's concerns about TJ possibly taking the baby if Molly and TJ split were discussed between them. It's frustrating to see this storyline develop, and I don't get why some people think Kristina is overreacting due to her grief. Is Jordan seriously starting to believe that Alexis could be so underhanded? I'm beginning to really dislike Jordan, which is a shame because I used to be a fan. And it's infuriating to see everyone sympathize with Kristina more than with Molly. The focus seems to be more on Kristina's loss than on Molly's. I'm also baffled by how everyone is so against Sunny, painting him as the villain. Have they forgotten that they're also connected to Rick, who can be just as bad? Why would Kristina want a baby that's half her sister's man? Isn't that a little strange? Sure, she may have grown attached, but it's still her brother-in-law's child, and he's still with her sister. This entire storyline is just a mess. Alexis wasn't plotting anything. She's repeatedly warned them. I'm finding GH increasingly frustrating and boring. I suspect Jordan is basing her opinions on what Molly has told her. They don't yet know that Alexis didn't draft the papers. I hope this storyline doesn't drag on, but with Rick being a lawyer, a court case between Molly and TJ versus Kristina for manslaughter is a possibility, though I hope it doesn't come to that. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Messy Syrup. It's me, Abby, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. Molly's big mouth and her conversations with Jordan and TJ could end up sending Kristina to jail. Molly isn't being fair, she's acting as if she carried the baby herself. Kristina is the one who's truly experiencing this terrible loss. Did any of them even hold the baby or see it? It feels like TJ and Molly are blowing their emotions way out of proportion. As sisters, Molly and Kristina should be sharing the grief of losing a baby, not arguing over who the real mother is. Both of them had roles in this situation, one as the carrier and the other as the intended mother. I'm really tired of this storyline. Let's not forget how unbearable and unreasonable Molly and TJ were during Kristina's entire pregnancy. They knew the risks involved but chose to proceed. They need to calm down. They come off as such an uptight young couple. It's infuriating how Kristina keeps referring to the baby as my baby. It was never meant to be her baby, and no one is correcting her. The document to release rights should have been signed before she even got pregnant. Surrogacy is a job, not a personal claim. Michael, Dante, and Alexis didn't correct her either. Molly and TJ shouldn't have involved Kristina in decisions about the funeral or the naming. On a positive note, TJ's family, Stella, Jordan, and Curtis, were incredibly supportive with the cleanup and arrangements before the funeral. They showed genuine sympathy, and I'm glad they're supporting Molly. Molly has received no support from her own family. It's all been about Kristina. As harsh as it may sound, it might be for the best that the baby passed away to avoid a drawn-out custody battle. I hope Molly and TJ can find another surrogate and start a family without this drama. Alexis isn't at fault here. TJ and Molly seem to think Kristina should just disappear, but she did carry the baby. This situation would have been filled with too much drama, so maybe it's for the best that it's over, even though GH might find a way to keep the baby alive somehow. Kristina had every right to want to keep the baby since it was her egg, even though TJ fertilized it. But they aren't married, so how can she claim the baby as hers? Molly's reactions seem a bit extreme to me. Yes, Kristina has been criticized for being overly dramatic, but there's more to consider. First, Molly confided in Kristina about her doubts with TJ, saying she wasn't sure if their relationship would last. This conversation might have planted the idea in Kristina's mind about pursuing custody of the baby. While Kristina did ask Molly and TJ to use her egg and be their surrogate, no one, including Kristina, anticipated how attached she would become to the baby. Kristina was the baby's biological mother and felt the loss deeply, just like TJ and Molly. In my opinion, TJ and Molly had no right to make all the arrangements without Kristina's input. TJ took control while Kristina was fighting for her life. So no, I don't think Kristina was being overly dramatic. She experienced a profound loss too. Jordan doesn't have the full picture. Kristina carried the baby and provided her egg, so her feelings and reactions are valid. She changed her mind, which, given the circumstances, isn't surprising. Alexis wasn't planning on stealing the baby. She was trying to manage Kristina's emotions and explain the situation, which she had opposed from the start. Alexis was doing this for TJ and Molly, who seemed to dictate every aspect of the situation. Despite how smart TJ and Molly think they are, the fact remains that the person who carried the baby is grieving a significant loss. I actually appreciate how Molly's character is being written now. She's showing strength, much like her mother, and isn't afraid to call people out. Alexis will likely address Molly's approach, but Kristina's actions with the papers will definitely strain their sisterhood. Yesterday's show captured the grief from both sides effectively. Jordan needs to focus on her own issues, particularly her son, whose behavior has been problematic. She should address his actions and consider how his past trauma, including being kidnapped, might be affecting him. It's outrageous that Molly made such a scene at Adela's funeral. Kristina is having to share the day she's burying her daughter with Molly and TJ, who harassed and bullied her throughout her pregnancy. Now they're trying to push Kristina out of her own daughter's funeral. Molly's public blame of Kristina, who was a victim of a targeted act of violence, seems like a desperate attempt to mask her jealousy. Kristina had the real bond with Adela and would have raised her if she had lived. Despite seeing the paperwork that confirmed she wasn't going to be Adela's mother, Molly continues to try and take away the child's memory and place at the funeral from Kristina. It's petty, cruel, and selfish. Regarding the agreement and Alexis's role, steal isn't quite the right word. Alexis had no intention of letting Molly know about the agreement, and she made that clear to Kristina. It's not accurate to say Alexis was siding with Kristina. She repeatedly communicated her position. As for the person in shackles, I believe it's Nicholas. They're likely taking him to the hospital to see if he can help Lulu, similar to how he did when she was a baby. It's fortunate that he might be the one to assist her. Kristina's fixation on TJ and Molly's potential breakup was partly why she wanted to keep the baby. She claimed she was only carrying the baby because of her love for them, but accused them of not trusting her. So where's her partner now? And was she honest? She had never mentioned wanting a baby before this. I stopped watching GH when Sunny's medication storyline became convoluted, and I might stop again due to the current storyline. The writing has been disappointing, and I hope the writers get it together. From the start, this situation was a disaster. Molly and TJ were awful to Kristina throughout the pregnancy. Molly seems to whine constantly, and they didn't treat Kristina any better than they did the other surrogate. By the way, I suspect the baby might still be alive. Kristina only started thinking about keeping the baby when she feared TJ and Molly would break up. TJ's behavior was insufferable throughout this whole ordeal. Kristina should confront Ava, as no one else seems to be doing so. And now Rick is back, ready to stir things up in his classic fashion. While Kristina's public claim of the child as her own might be seen as wrong, it's clear Molly's jealousy of Kristina plays a significant role in the tension. Honestly, I would have dragged Molly right there at the cemetery if I were in Kristina's shoes. Jordan's behavior is really troubling. It's baffling that Laura made her deputy mayor given how she acts. Jordan constantly looks down her nose at everyone, and her comments about her son, without acknowledging Molly, show her lack of consideration. Jordan was a terrible police commissioner, always getting things wrong. Jordan seems to be a troublemaker. She even gave Portia a dirty look when she arrived with Curtis. It's clear she already has an attitude toward Molly, and she's completely missed her son's behavior over the past 9 months. As for Alexis, it's questionable whether she ever genuinely tried to talk Kristina out of her plans. Alexis should have addressed the situation with Molly and taken a firmer stance. Instead, everyone seems to be enabling Kristina. While Kristina is the biological mother, that doesn't change the fact that the baby was initially going to be given to Molly and TJ. Ignoring TJ's role in this whole situation is also problematic. Molly and TJ's only fault was not sticking to their initial instincts. I'm really not enjoying the storyline with Molly, Kristina, and the rest of the family. Jordan's accusation that Alexis was planning to steal the baby is absurd. Alexis had warned them all about the potential complications, and Molly should have recognized that there are many ways to have a child. Adoption is a perfectly valid option if they wanted a baby so badly. Kristina begged to carry the child for Molly and TJ, and got upset when they questioned her maturity due to her past actions. Now, Kristina's upset because Molly wants to be the mother to a baby Kristina initially agreed to carry for her. This situation has turned into a crazy mess, and while some drama was expected with Kristina carrying the child, the baby's death was unexpected. Alexis had warned all 3 of them that this arrangement could become complicated and messy. Molly knew about the custody issues when she argued with Kristina, and Kristina brought up Molly and TJ's instability. Leaving the papers lying around instead of properly disposing of them was a major oversight. I think the prisoner in chains might be lucky. With Lucy getting a text from Scott saying he had to leave town, it seems Scott could be off to represent Lucky and help him out of jail. As for the baby storyline, it's becoming increasingly frustrating. Everyone involved has the right to grieve, but it feels like the writers are missing the mark on portraying that grief authentically. Each character's way of dealing with the loss is unique, and seeing that play out could be far more compelling. Molly and TJ's constant drama is becoming a real annoyance. Jordan shouldn't be the one making accusations about Kristina wanting to steal the baby. Kristina, while having the right to change her mind, is still half the baby's biological parent. There's a lot of emotional complexity here that Jordan isn't acknowledging. Molly's hurt and sense of betrayal are clear. Despite reaching out to Kristina with support, the discovery of the papers has left her feeling deceived. It seems Alexis was involved in drawing up the papers, but I'm not sure if she was fully representing Kristina. The legalities here are confusing, and it's unclear how things really played out. It's disappointing to see Kristina's lack of emotional growth. All of Molly's concerns about Kristina's reliability as a surrogate are coming to light. Kristina seems emotionally unstable when it comes to serious matters, which only adds to the drama. There's also the issue of naming the baby and putting Molly's name on the birth certificate. It's troubling that no one is addressing Kristina's near-fatal fall from the window, despite the tragic loss of the baby. It's also worth noting that while Molly, TJ, Jordan, and Stella have criticized the Corinthos family, they've all needed Sonny's help at some point. In summary, the storylines are getting tangled and frustrating. The portrayal of grief and family dynamics needs more depth and authenticity. Let's hope the writers can bring more clarity and emotional honesty to these plots. It's clear that the Davis family dynamics are about to get even messier. As for Lois's Brooklyn accent, I have to say it doesn't quite ring true. I'm from Brooklyn myself, and her accent seems more nasal than authentic. She could have benefited from talking to someone with a genuine Brooklyn accent to get it right. The current storylines and character portrayals have been deeply disappointing. TJ and Molly, in particular, come off as insufferably self-righteous, ignoring their own flaws and past mistakes. Let's not forget TJ's mom's sketchy behavior, like fabricating evidence during her undercover work, and the confusion about TJ's paternity. It turns out it wasn't Jordan's husband, but his brother. Sonny helped TJ by paying for his education early on, which makes the current attitude even more frustrating. Rick Lansing, Sonny's half-brother, has a long history of illegal and ruthless actions. The idea that Molly's family is now portrayed as the epitome of wholesomeness is just not credible. These new writers have really damaged two once great characters. Kristina's role as a surrogate was fraught with issues. She begged to be the surrogate, fully aware that the baby was meant to be TJ and Molly's. Her decision to keep the baby and create drama was a betrayal of the original agreement. Molly should have ensured all legalities were settled before the pregnancy even began. Kristina's actions have been deeply problematic, from bothering Ava to her behavior at the graveside. If I were Molly, I'd be done with Alexis and Kristina and would consider legal action for wrongful death. Alexis had warned them that this surrogacy arrangement was a bad idea, but Molly's insistence on a biological connection through Kristina seemed unnecessary, especially when she was fine with a different surrogate before. It's heartbreaking that Kristina's actions might break their sisterly bond. Kristina had every right to be emotional, given her biological connection to the baby. However, Molly's exclusion of Kristina from naming the baby and her role in the funeral arrangements was unfair. The whole situation is a complex web of grief, betrayal, and misunderstandings. It's a shame to see how it's unraveling, especially when it impacts the relationships between the characters we once cared deeply about. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.